All right, this is assignment number 2. Number 1 for the sub today should be the ESP packet, Founding the Colonies, where we have the charts. You need to create a summary comparing the two reasons. Like you have the reasons for colonization, reason for manifest destiny, and then you have the picture, the American progress picture on the back, and you make sure every sentence is complete there. So this is going to be assignment number 2. Once you've turned in your ESP packet, then you're working on this, and there's actually 2 assignments in here. Okay, the first one is over the Northwest Ordinance. So the learning objective, it says explain how the Northwest Ordinance established principles and procedures for orderly expansion of the U.S. So that's kind of the essential question, is how does this, the Northwest Ordinance, establish orderly expansion? So what does it do, basically? Okay. I'm going to read the first paragraph, the intro, to you. What you're going to end up doing is creating some Cornell notes over it. And I've kind of told you what you need to have for each Cornell note. So I'll read the introduction. It says, the new Confederation Congress controlled a vast territory of western lands that stretched from the Appalachian Mountains to the Mississippi River. So this is actually right after the Revolution, so that new territory we get. These lands were not states, and they did not have local governments the way the states did. The Confederation Congress was worried that as Americans settled this western territory, there would be confusion and chaos since no one would know who owned what land. The Confederation Congress passed 2 laws to divide and organize the western territory. Okay, so they had 2 laws that divided and organized the western territory. The Land Ordinance of 1785 ordered surveyors to go west to divide the territory into orderly 6-mile square lots, which would be known as townships. The second law that the Confederation Congress passed was the Northwest Ordinance. So that's what our Cornell notes is about. This law established the government for the Northwest Territory, and it said how territories could become states. Okay? So those are the 2 parts to it. So what you're going to do is you can pause it and then go to your Cornell note side, and I need to know what those 2 things were. Okay, like what were those 2 laws that the Confederation Congress made? Okay, so if you need to pause it, go ahead and do that now. Now, part A is the background of this. And it kind of takes this and put it in simpler forms. It says the Confederation Congress had to decide how to organize the western territories that it controlled. Northwest Ordinance was passed to make sure that the land in the Northwest Territory was settled in a peaceful and orderly way. Okay, so go ahead and organize that into maybe a sentence for part A. So take these 2, summarize them in a sentence, and put them on your Cornell notes where it says part A. Go ahead and pause it and do that. Part B. This law was passed by Confederation Congress in 1787. It laid down the rules by which territories would be settled and the procedures by which territories would become states. Again, that's pretty important, which territories would become states. What you're going to do, it says step 1 through 4. If you look at your Cornell notes on the back, part B, I want you to tell me there's 4 steps to this Northwest Ordinance. How does a territory become a state? Okay, I need to know the 4 steps. Now, it doesn't tell you word for word. I've kind of tried to help you as much as I can. It says initially people living in a territory would not have political rights, and the government officials in the territory would be appointed, not elected. Okay, so that's probably step 1. Step 2, or the second part of this, is as the population of the territory grew, the inhabitants or the people living there would be allowed the right to elect their local legislature or government. So what happens with step 2? Pause it if you need to work on step 1 and step 2. Summarize those in your own words. Step 3, when there are 60,000 people in the territory, they could apply to Congress to become a state. So this one's tricky. Here's part 3. And then the last part is they basically become a state. So step 4 is easy. They become a state. So work backwards if you need to. Okay, so pause it and work on part B. And then part C, why is this important? The summary. You have 3 bullet points. It says the Northwest Ordinance was an important law because it established the pattern by which the rest of the West would be settled. Okay, all other territories would have to go through the same process of becoming a state. The Northwest Ordinance made sure that the settlement of the West was orderly, or basically neat, had order to it, had some sort of system in place. Okay, because you can imagine if people just moving west, if there's nothing out there, how do you control land? How does that land become a state? This helps with that process. And it's all because of these steps here. So what you're going to do on your Cornell notes, you should have your notes done. Okay? You can then create 4 questions. Make sure you have the answers here, or you can find them in the reading. Okay, you should have your green sheet, hopefully, or you can look up some question stems online. And then part C, you're going to answer the essential question. You can use where I've labeled part C to kind of help you get to the answer. But the essential question is, how did the Northwest Ordinance provide for orderly expansion? How did it provide a system? What did it do? What is it? Okay, try to at least give me 2 or 3 sentences here. So go ahead and pause it. I'm going to start explaining activity 3, but make sure you have completed this one first. Okay, part 3 is easy. I don't have time to read the paragraph to you, sorry, but there is a few paragraphs up here that you have a map down here. So this is showing you kind of where we're moving west. And what you do is use the map to answer, and the reading, to answer the 9 questions on the back. Okay? So make sure you're reading and looking at the map. You have to use both in order to answer the questions. Be good today. Bye.